Hi, my name is Pratibha Agarwal. I am an immigration attorney based in Washington, D.C. We help clients all over the country on all types of immigration matters. Today, I'm here to talk to you about the number one reason why VAWA self-petitions could be getting denied. This is for anyone who is thinking about filing a VAWA self-petition, who might know others that might be filing a VAWA self-petition. You want to stay tuned because a denial could result in removal proceedings right now under the current administration. If your VAWA petition is denied, you will get placed in removal proceedings. You could also experience a lot of delays. The application could take years longer. Some of these applications are already taking about 4 years. So you want to make sure that you have put forth the strongest application possible to streamline the processing of your case, to make sure that all of the evidence is there and that you ultimately receive the green card if you are eligible for a VAWA self-petition. When people hear of abuse, what they're doing is they're thinking of physical abuse. They're thinking of being battered, assaulted by their spouse, their U.S. citizen or green card holder spouse. But for VAWA, all types of abuse is recognized. For example, financial abuse. If your spouse is monitoring your spending, if they're making you ask permission to buy anything at all, if they're making all the big decisions in the family, for example, that's abuse in the form of asserting privilege, right? That happens often. There's verbal abuse, name calling, cursing, psychological abuse, manipulation, and they may be using various forms of abuse to control and isolate the VAWA applicant. So these are very important to remember, to essentially explain to USCIS. I like to tell our clients to think of, who, what, where, when, why. You want to give all of these details and explain what happened, because most of our clients are suffering abuse. We have no doubt about that. For our clients, our firm goes through a pretty detailed process to help gather all the evidence regarding the abuse in a marriage for a spousal VAWA self-petition. So one of the first things our legal team does is schedule something called a declaration call. So this is a call that will actually go 2 hours plus the first time, and we'll have a second call, usually another 2 hours plus, where all we're doing is we're asking questions. We're basically asking questions to help you remember different forms of abuse that may occur. So for example, we might talk about, name calling. Did that occur? We can talk about public humiliation. Did that occur? We can talk about isolation. Did you ever feel that you weren't allowed to talk to your family? Did you feel like your spouse was always listening, or were they around when you spoke to friends or family? How free were you to do that? And we will get the details. We will ask questions where you can remember and provide as much detail as you can remember. Those notes are gathered and then prepared into a self-affidavit that you then review and confirm its accuracy before we are able to submit that to USCIS. So we do facilitate that process. We try to make it as easy as possible for victims of abuse to document the evidence, to provide the details necessary for a strong self-affidavit to support a VAWA self-petition. Number one reason for a VAWA denial is insufficient evidence. And today we'll talk about insufficient evidence of abuse. So when people hear the word abuse, they think of physical abuse. They think of being physically assaulted by their spouse in a marriage-based VAWA self-petition. But all types of abuse are relevant for a successful VAWA self-petition. So if you're experiencing verbal abuse like name calling, cursing, yelling, if you're experiencing isolation, separating you from family, from friends, financial abuse, requiring you to ask for permission to spend your own money for receipts, for making you feel like you can't do anything without the other person's approval. There's a lot of different types of abuse that can be present in a successful VAWA self-petition in a marriage that is abusive. So it's important to think through what is going on. It's important to maybe journal or keep track of what happened, because sometimes in the spur of the moment, it's hard to remember everything. So your affidavit, you prepare a self-affidavit that details all of the types of abuse that you've experienced in your marriage. And that is one of the most important pieces of evidence in a successful VAWA self-petition. The other thing that you should look for is maybe other forms of evidence to corroborate the statements in your self-affidavit. So for example, if you had to call the police and you filed a report, even if criminal charges weren't pressed, you can submit that police report to help corroborate some of the statements in your self-affidavit. If you have friends or family that have witnessed the abuse, they can write statements. Just make sure to provide their ID, explain who they are. They, within their own letters, have to say who they are. Perhaps even sometimes where they live would be helpful. And they should explain how they know you and where they were, what they experienced, and perhaps anything that you said to them. If you were crying, if you were sad, they know from their experience looking at you and seeing the abuse in that marriage. Things that are also important are maybe hostile texts, emails, anything else that you've received from the abuser. I know that most people want to just delete it, remove it from their phones, from their email accounts, but this can be very helpful evidence in filing a VAWA self-petition. So if you can hold on to all of these types of evidence that can corroborate the statements in your self-affidavit, you will be able to put together a case that clearly documents the abuse that you've experienced. And it's not just physical abuse, not just medical reports, although if that's present, put that into your VAWA self-petition, put that into your application. If it's not there, it really is looking at how cruel your spouse was towards you. And you can gather all types of evidence. And really the most important piece of evidence is your VAWA self-affidavit that is included as an exhibit. My tips are document everything. So whenever something happens in a marriage, if you're undocumented, you're married to a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, you're experiencing problems in your marriage that you think will constitute abuse, keep a journal about what happened, where you were, what happened, what exactly was said to you. It's easy to refer back to this when you need to draft a self-affidavit for your self-petition, right? If others are around, consider getting supporting statements from them. Did they witness the abuse? What was their perspective? And are they willing to draft something on your behalf explaining what happened to help you with your VAWA case? This, again, is not absolutely necessary. We have won many VAWA cases where additional self-affidavits were not part of the packet. But if that's possible, if you can put that together, that can certainly help you prove abuse in your VAWA self-petition to have a successful VAWA self-petition by having corroborating evidence that supports what you are saying in your self-affidavit. In your declaration, be specific. So that's one of the most important things. Talk about what happened. Also talk about how it made you feel. Document patterns of abuse if that happened as well. All of these details will help put together a pretty detailed support statement that can really help you win your VAWA case. Lastly, keep those text messages, keep those emails, keep letters or any written evidence that can help support your self-affidavit, can help corroborate what has happened. Take pictures of things that may be broken around your home. If there is physical abuse, medical reports, maybe photographs of bruises or things like that can also help show that there was abuse in a marriage. So think through what happened in your situation, gather what you might have, don't delete those emails and text messages, and this should help you put together a very strong VAWA self-petition. If you're thinking about filing a VAWA self-petition, or you're worried about a denial after you've already filed, don't wait. You might still be able to gather evidence that you didn't submit the first time around. You could potentially supplement your application or get ready for a request for evidence if you think that might be possible in your case. If you need assistance, our firm can certainly guide you. We have helped many VAWA applicants submit a successful application. Many of our clients have gotten their VAWA approved and their adjustment of status, their green card approved as well. Just last week, we had another client who just had an interview for a green card after their VAWA petition had been approved and was told that he was also going to be approved for a green card. So our firm has had significant experience with VAWA self-petitions. We can certainly help and guide you, gather the evidence, prepare the application, give you the legal counsel that may be helpful for you in ultimately achieving a successful self-petition and hopefully even a green card if you are eligible. Give us a call. We'll guide you step by step. You can reach us at 703-348-1663. Again, 703-348-1663. We will ensure that you are eligible and then help you prepare your case and prepare it in a way that makes it as strong as possible based on the evidence. Thanks for watching and stay safe.